start and understand Presbyterians, you have to start with the Swiss Reformation in Geneva, Switzerland. John Calvin really came about 15, 20 years after Martin Luther, and I think being a second generation Protestant, his focus was, okay, now how do we organize this whole movement? And so Presbyterians consider themselves to be part of the whole Reform movement, which includes the United Church of Christ, Disciples of Christ, even Christian Missionary and Alliance. Anybody who would call themselves Congregationalists or Reformed or any of those things were all part of that Swiss Reformation that came from John Calvin. And Calvin was very focused on how do we create a strong theology that's biblically based and then structure ourselves very much like the early church. It became Presbyterian really as a man named John Knox, who was following a lot of other reformers in Scotland, after the Catholic Church had really oppressed the Reform movement in Scotland, had ended up going to Geneva and studying with John Calvin, and he brought that to Scotland, which really moved very quickly through Scotland. In the United States, Presbyterians really come from Scotland, Northern England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and what you hear are Scots-Irish, are really kind of borderland Scots. And then when William Penn opened up settlement of Pennsylvania to virtually anybody, a lot of the Scots-Irish, the Welsh came and settled into Pennsylvania and then moved west into the Appalachians and kind of moved north and south from that. And most of the Presbyterians who are Presbyterian today, they have their heritage either to the Presbyterians who moved to Pennsylvania or to the Presbyterians who moved to New Jersey, because there was a lot of freedom there to worship. I will say one other comment. The Puritans and even the Pilgrims who are in Massachusetts, they are not Presbyterian, but they also come from the same Reformed roots. The name Presbyterian actually, for most of us, like probably you, also me, we need reading glasses. It's because we suffer from presbyopia, which means old eyes. And Presbyterian literally means we are a church run by elders, people who are ordained to be elders. The attempt was to try to create a church that they thought was biblically based, that was grounded in the idea that pastors teach, pastors preach, and lay elders who are ordained are the ones who organize and run the church. The name Presbyterian has very little to do, well, not little, but it has more to do with how we practice our faith than how we actually believe, than what our beliefs are. Presbyterians, we are elder-led. We're not congregational, which means that the congregation doesn't vote on everything, nor are we Episcopalian, where there's a bishop. We give a lot of local authority to the local congregations, but Presbyterians are able to act independently, which is what really led to a lot of the growth in the U.S., because you could start Presbyterian congregations almost anywhere and you didn't have to have a strong connection to a bishop, but you still had a strong leadership of the elders.